Hello everybody and welcome to another great edition of Slammin Saturday Night. This is the final day of September as October approaches and we have a lot of pro wrestling news to get into. First and foremost, I want to get out to everybody right here and now. My co-host and my main man, Nathaniel Combs, will not be joining me tonight, so I am riding solo once again. There's a lot of pro wrestling news to cover tonight, and man, it's just been a crazy week in pro wrestling. Going to be talking about a fan incident that happened at the NXT live event from last night. Also going to be talking about Kurt Angle possibly coming back to pro wrestling in the ring. Also going to be talking about Sami Zayn and the wellness policy, WWE contract expiration dates, and much more. Also going to be giving my review of No Mercy that happened last Sunday. I am Jamin John Caldwell, also known as Stewie Family on YouTube. This live stream will be on YouTube. After this wraps up, it will be a YouTube video on my YouTube channel, www.youtube.com/StewieFamily, if you want to check it out there. Give me a subscription on there. I really would appreciate that. So let's go ahead and get straight into this pro wrestling news right here. And as always, if you have a wrestling related question, please leave it down below in the comments and I will answer it whenever I am done with all the news and my review of No Mercy. So first and foremost, some breaking news right here. Due to WWE's cease and desist notice over the Too Sweet gesture, the Young Bucks have decided to auction off their old merchandise for charity. Also, the Young Bucks already has new merchandise out, including a shirt that mocks the legal threat from WWE. The shirt says cease and desist, and it has the Young Bucks flashing up the Too Sweet sign, but it's censored. And Too Sweet is also censored as well. So, crazy stuff happening here with the Bullet Club and the WWE. First off, you had all these problems with Cody Rhodes not being able to use the Rhodes last name on the indies and having to go by Cody. And now you got the Young Bucks, going, and you got this cease and desist notice from WWE about it being, doing the Too Sweet gesture. I mean, it's pretty crazy. I didn't even know the WWE even owned the Too Sweet gesture, because it's been going around for years and years on indies, and that's just some news to me, They own NWO and they own WCW, but as for the Too Sweet gesture, that just really surprised me. I don't understand why the WWE didn't do this when the Young Bucks and the Bullet Club was doing this earlier, because the Bullet Club and the Young Bucks have been doing this for a very long time. Why didn't the WWE go after them back then? Why just now? So doesn't really make a whole lot of sense why they would file a cease and desist notice over a gesture. I mean, that's crazy stuff, really. Our next bit of news is going to be about a fan incident that happened at last night's NXT taping. It wasn't a taping, it was a live event is what it was, in Tampa. And I heard about this all over the Wrestling Discord. Want to give a big shout out to them. I have an invite to the Wrestling Discord down in the YouTube description. You can go and click on that and check it out. It's an awesome place to go to and talk pro wrestling. I have a lot of great people in that, and they did not pay me to do that promotion. I wanted to do it on my own, so I wanted to clear that up right here and there. There was an incident at last night's NXT event with a fan attempting to get into the ring, and he was quickly kicked in the face by Kyle O'Reilly. The fan was also quickly escorted out of the building by security. Chris Radley on Twitter said a crazy fan ran into the ring and Kyle O'Reilly straight kicked that dude in the face and then threw him out of the ring. Now, I did not get to see video of the fan getting kicked in the face. I did, however, see video of him getting, taken back where the curtain was. Security was taking him back there. And I've seen some pictures of the fan being taken out of the ring. Never seen any video of him getting kicked in the face, but you deserve that if you try to jump in the ring. that's just, whenever you jump over that barricade, it's fair game. You're there to watch a great show and be entertained by it. Don't be an idiot and jump in the ring and actually try to fight these guys. You're going to get your ass kicked. So that's just, I never really liked that. And it just really doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me why someone would do something like that. I guess just to try to get some fame, 15 minutes of fame, I guess. I remember whenever I went to watch my first Monday Night Raw in Lexington in 2010, after Monday Night Raw went off the air and we had our dark match, I remember there was a woman that jumped over the barricade and she humped John Cena and Randy Orton's legs. And the security just tackled her out, and she was just like, "Oh, I love you, John Cena and Randy Orton." And I was just laughing. I was just laughing the whole time. I mean, man, I just don't understand what makes people do that. Why we have so many crazed fans, Kurt Angle recently did an interview with Fox Sports Australia, and here's some highlights. On asked if he was going to wrestle again in the WWE, Kurt said, "I would say I will most likely wrestle. I have not taken a physical yet. I'm basically waiting on the boss. It's up to Vince McMahon. I would imagine I will. I'd imagine the storyline is going to go somewhere with Jason Jordan. So I'm just being patient and enjoying the general manager job. Hopefully, eventually, I'll get back into wrestling." When Angle commented on the wellness policy, he said, "I know Vince wants to go nice and slow with me and make sure I'm staying healthy and staying clean. They have an incredible drug policy and wellness policy. The physical is not very easy to pass. Vince is making sure I'm in a position where I can do this and he can rely on me. I understand that it's a process and I have to wait for my turn." So really, I would love to see Kurt Angle get back in the ring, have one more match. I think that would be so incredible. But even if he doesn't, I'm still very proud of Kurt. I love him being general manager of Raw. Not only do I love him being general manager of Raw, I love that he is just really taking control of his life once again. He's had a lot of problems in the past. And it's just really nice to see him be clean and sober. And I think really one of the reasons why he is sober and clean is, his daughter. He wanted to, have a positive impact in his daughter's life and wanted to be a family man, So that's some of the reasons why I think, he sobered up and cleaned up. And not only that, but just to be a better person. And I'm just really proud of Kurt, even though he isn't wrestling right now and he is in this general manager position on Raw. I still love that, and I just love having him in the WWE again and watching him as a fan. So our next bit of news is actually very interesting. This one is I really didn't see something like this coming and want to know more about this, so let's go ahead and get into it. Sami Zayn recently did an interview with joe.co.uk, and here's some of the highlights. When asked about wrestlers living a healthier lifestyle than in the past, Sami Zayn said yes, but it's not just the wrestling industry that has changed, the world has changed. Unfortunately, a lot of that generation paid a very heavy price for it, and it would be very silly for our generation to not learn from their mistakes. Not to mention the WWE wellness policy as well, which I think is a great thing, honestly. It sort of keeps people in check, but at the end of the day, I think matches are at a higher level than ever. The quality of talent we have now has never been better, and the work rate has never been better. When asked about El Generico, he said, "There are a lot of parallels between my style and his, I suppose, but I never really met the man. But from what I hear, I think he's still running an orphanage, still fighting the good fight in Mexico." That's as far as I know. So, El Generico's doing fine, guys. That's great news. But, I mean, on a serious note, he is absolutely right. This wellness policy has been a great thing for the WWE. And really, no one's truly safe from it. You know, Roman Reigns got suspended over using Adderall, something like Adderall. You know, so it's a very great thing. They implemented that whenever Chris Benoit, the whole Chris Benoit tragedy happened. That's really when that went into effect, and it's done a great job. It really has. You know, and that's something that I think should continue. You know, we need to keep it like drug free and stuff. So it's a great thing. Now this is really interesting as well. According to Fightful.com, here are the confirmed WWE contract expiration dates. Brock Lesnar after WrestleMania 34. Mauro Ranallo, June 2019. Daniel Bryan, September 2018. Paige, 2019. And The Big Show, February 2018. In an update on the Vince McMahon biopic entitled Pandemonium, actor Bradley Cooper has reportedly been offered the role of McMahon. The offer was apparently made several weeks ago, but there's no word on if Cooper has accepted it. Cooper, perhaps best known for his role in the Hangover franchise, could help the film's production move at a faster rate if he agrees to play the role. So, looking at these contract expiration dates for the WWE, I don't think the Big Show will re-sign for a in-ring contract after February 2018. I think that more than likely, if the cage match with Braun wasn't his last match as a wrestler, then I think his final match will probably come sometime around Royal Rumble. And it's very clear that Big Show's not going to be wrestling a whole lot more. I honestly don't think that he will be wrestling anymore. I think that match against Braun was his final match, but you gotta wait and see what happens. But I do think that he will not re-sign an in-ring contract. He'll re-sign with like a Legends contract or a backstage contract, something like that, because it's been very well known that the Big Show wants to do what Mark Henry's doing right now. He wants to have some type of backstage role, helping people out, you know, helping young kids get like a spot and stuff, you know, and a push, and you know, training them. So I think that's a really good thing. As for Daniel Bryan, September 2018, there's been so much talk about that. You know, we still have 1 year left of Daniel Bryan in WWE if he decides not to re-sign with the company. And honestly, I've been hearing, you know, everything from he doesn't want to re-sign because he's unhappy with his position on SmackDown Live. He doesn't like being general manager. He doesn't like that whole role. He wants to be a wrestler. And a lot of people's been saying that he's supposed to be coming back to the ring, and he's been training to get back into the ring and all this. And, you know, honestly, I would love to see Daniel back in the ring. But I'm still iffy on the neck injury that he suffered. And I just really hope that, you know, everything, you know, doctors say, oh, well, all clear, you can compete. And from the rumors I've been hearing, that's supposedly true. So if that is true, I think Daniel Bryan will probably not re-sign with the WWE, and he might go back to Ring of Honor and wrestle in Ring of Honor. I would love to see him wrestle Cody. That would be an incredible matchup for the ROH World title. Paige 2019, it's really untelling. You know, I mean, there's been a lot of controversy surrounding Paige for the past couple of years. Just recently, she had a couple of sex tapes that came out, and that's leaves a bad image on her, and it leaves a bad image on the WWE. But I think that shouldn't really completely blacklist her from being a pro wrestler. You know, if she is truly serious about being in the ring a lot more, and about her career, I think honestly that if she steps it up, I think things will be better for her in the WWE, and she'll have an even better future. You know, I just think that she really made a lot of mistakes. You know, she's still very young. She's about 25 years old. You know, so I think she's still very young, and she's just made a few mistakes, and I think things will probably get better for her. Mauro Ranallo, June 2019. Mauro was on SmackDown. He was the commentator with JBL on SmackDown, for those of you who don't know. And he had an incident where JBL was bullying him, and it's very well known backstage that JBL was known for bullying a lot of guys backstage, and that caused JBL to get a very negative reaction when Mauro went public with that. And pretty soon, I think it was a couple of weeks ago, JBL went and decided to walk away from the table, the announcer's table, and he's doing some type of global role for the WWE, so he's no longer a commentator on SmackDown because of that. Mauro is on NXT, doing a great job on NXT. I love him. I think he's an amazing commentator, one of the best commentators, if not the best commentator I've heard in the WWE since Jim Ross. And, you know, if everything goes great, maybe he'll be back on SmackDown. I don't think he's going to work with JBL ever again. I think that if he goes to SmackDown, it'll be with someone else that's not JBL, because he's never going to work with JBL again after that incident that he had with him. So maybe he'll resign. He's still got a good 2 years on him, so it's really a long ways to go. As for Brock Lesnar, after WrestleMania 34, his contract will expire. He'll resign. He'll resign with the company. You'll see Brock Lesnar a lot more going from the summer to SummerSlam. You know, he'll still be there. He might go and do some things in the UFC. Maybe he'll fight John Jones again. But John Jones is currently going through some problems with the UFC over a drug test that he failed. So who really knows, you know? But Brock might go back to the Octagon. You know, we just got to wait. But I think he will resign with the WWE. And for the Vince McMahon biopic, I really hope that they don't do this. You know, if it's anything like what Jim Cornette said it was, no, I just really hope that they don't do this, because if it's anything like Corny said, then it's going to be very damaging to pro wrestling, and it's going to give people the wrong idea of how pro wrestling works. So, yeah, I really hope that they don't do that if the information that Jim Cornette received was right. But we just got to wait and see, you know. But I just really don't want to see that happen. So as you know, for a while, Bray Wyatt, whenever he's in a match, you know, he loses a whole lot. And Bray Wyatt recently, in a recent interview with Brandon Stroud of uprocks.com, he responded to a question about him losing all the time by saying, "Is that true? Do y'all really believe that? What are you talking about? You don't know, so shut up, all of you, shut up. I was just world champion. I was a tag team champion last year. I beat Randy Orton. I beat Seth Rollins. I beat Finn Balor on Monday. What are y'all talking about? What are you talking about? You don't know. And that's right. I mean, I know a lot of people say that Bray Wyatt loses a whole lot and stuff. I actually had him picked to beat Finn Balor at No Mercy. You know, even though he didn't win, I had him picked. And that's right. You know, Bray Wyatt recently just became WWE champion. It was a couple of months ago, I believe. Something that he truly deserved, in my opinion. You know, he was a tag champion last year. I really don't think that Bray should get all this heat on him, you know, for losing a whole lot. I think that's just the way he's booked. I hate to say it, but, you know, that's just the way he's booked, and seems like he doesn't have a problem with it. So, you know, the next thing I want to talk about is WWE's plans for Jinder Mahal. Now, as all of you know, Jinder Mahal has been going through some controversy because of a promo that he done 2 weeks ago on SmackDown. Apparently it was a racist promo. I did watch it. I felt as though it was a pretty you know, racist promo. I thought it was pretty out there, and it shouldn't have been said at all. I thought it was very inappropriate. And so I've been hearing rumors here and there about, well, now they're going to, you know, take the belt and give it to Nakamura at TLC. excuse me, Hell in a Cell. That's the Raw pay-per-view. At Hell in a Cell, they was wanting to put the belt on Nakamura. But really, honestly, uh, I really hope, I think honestly they probably would, but let's find out right here. The current belief is that Jinder Mahal will be the WWE Champion for the rest of 2017 and possibly until WrestleMania 34. There is a chance that Mahal loses the title to Shinsuke Nakamura at Hell in a Cell, but then wins it back during WWE's Tour of India in December. Even though the tour is Raw branded, Mahal is expected to be a big part of the shows. So, it's believed that Jinder is going to be the champion for the rest of this year. And possibly until WrestleMania. Now, that's probably going to piss a lot of people off, because a lot of people don't feel like Jinder Mahal is great enough to be WWE champion. And then you have some that like him. I'm indifferent on the guy, you know. I'm neutral on him. I think it's awesome that a guy who was at like the lower part of the card became champion. But really, I feel as though he became champion just to make the WWE bigger in India. So, you know, it's possible that Nakamura could win the belt at Hell in a Cell, and then in December, Jinder could win it back in the Indian tour in December. It's quite possible that that could get Jinder a lot more over in India, but I don't really know, because it's been said that the Indian fans don't really care that much for Jinder Mahal. They actually like the bigger stars like Cena and Reigns more than Jinder. And a lot of pro wrestling fans in India, especially the WWE ones, don't know who Jinder Mahal is, nor do they really care about Jinder Mahal. And so that is a big problem for, you know, trying to get a bigger name in India. And so it would be pretty hard to do that, because if Shinsuke Nakamura wins the belt at Hell in a Cell, and then he goes and he loses it to Jinder in India in December, that could possibly cause the fans to not really be interested in Jinder even more, because I'd say Nakamura is probably very, very popular in India. Maybe, you know, he is a big name in the WWE. And of course, that's going to piss off a lot of people here in the United States and Great Britain. You know, it's really going to piss a lot of people off, and you know, it's going to cause a lot more problems for the WWE. There's already problems with attendance. I'm sure you might know this, or maybe you don't. Let me explain. The WWE has been having problems with attendance for SmackDown Live recently. The side of the arena where the camera is, you know, when it focuses in on the ring, the part of the arena that you never get to see on television, somebody keeps showing pictures of that. For the past 2 weeks, that side of the arena that you never see on TV has been bare. There's only been probably about 3 or 4 people in the seats. All the other seats are empty. And that's been going on for the past 2 weeks. Usually for a Raw or SmackDown televised show, the arena is nearly full or almost full. But for the past 2 weeks, SmackDown Live, that side of the arena that you never get to see on television, has been empty. So that's a big problem. That's a very big problem, and definitely needs to be fixed here very soon, because that's worrisome. Also, Charlotte made it clear in a recent interview with ESPN.com that she wants to face Ronda Rousey at WrestleMania by saying, "I hope that's the main event of WrestleMania. That's my dream. I hope we can make it happen." She really opened the doors for a lot of women. Having that opportunity would be huge. I don't know what her goals are, but it's just cool that she wants to be a part of our world. The match has been rumored for months now, and Charlotte's comments on a major website like ESPN has definitely fueled the speculation. It's been... I think it's going to happen. I think the match will happen. I read something somewhere that at the Mae Young Classic, I think it was for Bleacher Report, at the Mae Young Classic, Ronda Rousey got in the ring and said that she would take on any woman, Bayley, Charlotte, Natty, Becky Lynch, Sasha Banks. She said that she could beat all of them. And if you got Ronda Rousey in the ring saying that stuff at the Mae Young Classic, then you best believe there's a match for her sometime down the road. And I think, honestly, it would be awesome to see her face Charlotte. Be kind of... I just wonder how fast she could adapt to that WWE style, you know. I think that really it shouldn't be too hard, and it shouldn't take too long for her to adapt to that WWE style. And who knows, you know, maybe the Ronda Rousey Charlotte match could end up being very good. I mean, it's quite possible, but she did get in the ring during the Mae Young Classic, and she did say that, you know, so that definitely means that there's something down the road for her. This is some very interesting comments from Chris Jericho. During an interview with Ring Rust Radio, Jericho commented on the second season of Southpaw Regional Wrestling. Of course, that is the comedy show that is like a parody of 1980s and 70s wrestling in the South and Mid-South. Most notably, it's kind of like a parody in a way of like the AWA, you know. So in that interview, he said, I think a lot of times the initial one is always the best because it's such a surprise and nobody really knew what they were getting into. Where with the second one, everybody wanted to get involved and some of the characters weren't as strong. I think Mrs. Guy was terrible in it, whatever he was called, Astonishing Adam Dung. I just thought it was terrible. It wasn't funny. I thought the Butcher guys, Rhino and Seth Rollins' Butcher Boys, weren't funny. Whereas the first one was really funny because no one was really trying. They were just being whatever they wanted to be. It's like a sequel to a movie where you stumble onto something and it's never as good as the original. Now, to be honest, I haven't really watched that much of Southpaw Regional Wrestling. I haven't heard a whole lot out of the second season, but I always hear good things about the first season. And, you know, honestly, I hear so much about the first season, and there's so much memes made about the first season. You don't really hear that much of the second season. So apparently, maybe it wasn't as funny as the first. Though I don't really know. I can't really truly form an opinion on that because, sadly, I haven't really watched that much of Southpaw Regional Wrestling. Though I've been meaning to. I just never really had the time to watch it. There is reportedly talk in the WWE about moving Kevin Owens back to the Raw brand after the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view. The main reason WWE wouldn't do this is that SmackDown is already short when it comes to star power. And then again, this is another reason why I added in about the, arena being empty during SmackDown shows. There are apparently various storyline directions that the company is considering for the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view, including involvement from Stephanie McMahon. That's the reason why, you know, you've seen Steph come out after the Vince McMahon Kevin Owens segment. According to Ryan Satin of ProWrestlingSheet.com, the rumored Shield versus Mr Raj match at the upcoming TLC pay-per-view might not be set in stone. It's possible that the WWE will put more formidable opponents against the Shield instead. Ryan Satin said sources tell us the Miz and Raj being their opponents is not set in stone at this point. So apparently the rumor is that, you know, the Shield is supposed to be forming back at the TLC pay-per-view. The reunion's going to start. But who in the world could they face? What other trio could the Shield face at TLC? Because the only trio that I know on Monday Night Raw is the Mr. Raj. Who else could they face? You know, so honestly, I really don't know. A lot of people said the Wyatt family, but I don't think that's going to happen because, you know, Bray Wyatt's on SmackDown. Luke Harper's supposed to get repackaged here soon. I mean, honestly, I just really don't think that's going to happen, you know, because, like I said, they're on SmackDown. So who in the world could they face? Who could the Shield face if they get the Shield back for a reunion? at TLC, and I think honestly that's probably going to happen because, you know, Brock Lesnar's probably going to be gone for the rest of this year. You know, he's no longer going to be wrestling the rest of this year, and, you know, you ain't going to have no more Universal title matches for the rest of this year. So they got to find a way to sell tickets. They got to find a way to get people involved into the TLC pay-per-view, and having the Shield reunite would be perfect for that. We just got to wait and see what that surprise trio is going to be. Hopefully it's not the Spirit Squad or something like that. So that's all the pro wrestling news that I have right now. Now it's time for the grand finale tonight on Slammin Saturday Night. My review of WWE No Mercy. Of course, as you know, No Mercy was last Sunday. I felt as though it was a pretty good pay-per-view. I felt as though it was a much more edgier pay-per-view. There was a lot of swearing and a lot more blood. You know, it kind of felt like it was 2003 and 2004. You know, it was kind of like we was back in 2003, 2004, 2005, and I really enjoyed that. You know, I really liked that they kind of went edgy on this pay-per-view. Like I said, I thought it was a really great pay-per-view. Breaking down the matches, Elias defeated Apollo Crews. That was the pre-show match. I felt as though it was an alright match. You know, I had Elias winning that. He ended up winning. We had the Intercontinental Champion, The Miz, defeating Jason Jordan to retain the Intercontinental title. It was an alright match. You know, it wasn't bad. It wasn't good. It was alright, you know. Finn Balor defeated Bray Wyatt. A lot of people thought in the beginning that Finn Balor got injured, but that wasn't exactly true. It was just, you know, it was a kayfabe, little injury there. I felt as though that was a pretty great match. A lot of people really didn't like the Finn Balor-Bray Wyatt match, but I really enjoyed it. You know, I thought it was a really good match. In the end, Balor defeated Wyatt. I had Wyatt winning that, you know. But I felt it was really good, and I don't understand why people really drug the match down, because it was a really good match. However, this match that I'm about to talk about was the best match of the entire show. Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins retaining the Raw Tag Team Championships against Cesaro and Sheamus, 15 minutes and 55 seconds. Man, this was just a fun match. This was so fun to watch. So much action happening in this, back and forth, all around. You know, you had them fighting outside the ring. You had them fighting in. You know, you had them going over barricades. Cesaro had a scare in the match when his teeth was jammed up too far into his gums, and he had blood all over his mouth. We all thought at first that he broke his teeth, but it was his teeth being pushed up into his gums. Very, very painful stuff, and much credit to Cesaro for finishing that match, going through all that pain and stuff. Very surprised that they didn't stop the match to clean the blood up, because that's usually what they do. So, I mean, that's why I say it was a lot more edgier at this show. You know, they allowed a lot more stuff. So it was like I was 12 years old or 11 all over again, you know. But it was an awesome match. The best match by far of the night. I really enjoyed that one. You had Alexa Bliss defeating Bayley, Emma, Nia Jax, and Sasha Banks to retain the Raw Women's title. I felt like that was an awesome match. Another one of my favorite matches of the night. You know, that power bomb onto Nia Jax onto the floor. I thought that was just incredible. It was so exciting, back and forth, so many near falls. In the end, Alexa Bliss won. And so what's going to happen next, you say? Well, I'd say Alexa Bliss is going to have that match with Mickie James at TLC for the Raw Women's title. And I think Alexa Bliss will retain against Mickie James. And then Asuka's going to come out, and she's going to put Alexa Bliss in the Asuka lock. And then at Survivor Series, Asuka's going to win the title. And no one's going to be able to beat Asuka for a couple of years. That's what I think is going to happen. We had the John Cena-Roman Reigns match. 22 minutes and 5 seconds. Roman Reigns ended up defeating John Cena. This was a good match. It was very good. Had a lot of great moments near the middle of the match and near the end. Started off slow, but that's what you do for a caliber match like this. You know, when you have a really big match, you want to draw it out for as long as you can. And I'll tell you, you know, it was a good match. It wasn't the best match of the night, but it was very, very good. And there's a lot of rumors going on right now that John Cena is apparently going to retire from pro wrestling. You know, he said that, you know, he don't know how much longer he can do this. And to be honest, you know, Cena has been wrestling for really almost, if not 16 years. You know, he started out in 2001 as the prototype, long before he got into the WWE. And, I mean, he's been going at it a long time. You know, 16-time champion, first person since Flair to do that. You know, he's had a really an amazing career, you know. And remember when I watched WrestleMania 21 and seeing him win the WWE title for the first time in 2005. Yeah, that was really amazing that he could do that. And he just, right in there, his first WWE title reign, he never looked back. You know, that was the start. And ever since 2005, he's been the top guy in the WWE. And he's been the top guy of the company longer than anybody. You know, longer than Hogan. You know, longer than Stone Cold The Rock. So big props to Cena. He really is an incredible guy. A really good guy outside of pro wrestling as well. I have a lot of respect for him. Does a whole lot for charity and a lot for, you know, disadvantaged kids. He's really a good person. But I don't think John Cena's done. I think John Cena probably has another 2 or 3 years left in him, honestly. I'd say that was probably his last match as a full-time wrestler. I think he'll probably be part-time for the next couple of years. Like I said, he's got about probably 2 or 3 years left in him. So, I think, from what I've heard, Cena's going to go away. He's going to be starring in the Bumblebee movie for Transformers. So that'll be really cool to see him in. And after that movie's done, I think that he'll come back to pro wrestling, and but he'll be a part-timer. I don't think he'll be a full-timer anymore. We had Enzo Amore defeating Neville to become the Cruiserweight Champion. This match, oh my God, this match got so much heat from the fans. A lot of people canceled their network subscriptions over this match. The outcome of it, I mean, it was just atrocious. The amount of, you know, fans responding negatively to this. And honestly, you know, I really don't know about this. I mean, this is crazy. I heard Enzo Amore got a lot of heat backstage because apparently he didn't care about, you know, to respect pro wrestling. But then they go and they make him Cruiserweight Champion. You've seen on Monday Night Raw last Monday that, you know, they had that segment for the main event where all the Cruiserweights came out and beat him up, and then Braun Strowman beat him up. I mean, I don't really know. I don't know. I mean, it's just a really crazy thing. He won by low blow against Neville. I had Enzo winning the Cruiserweight Championship that night. But I don't know. You know, one could really take it as they gave him the belt, and then they done that segment. They made him go and do that segment, you know, as like pretty much like a rib or something like that for, you know, all the heat that he got. So that's pretty much what I got there. And then the main event, Brock Lesnar retained the Universal Championship against Braun Strowman in a 9-minute match. It was really good in the beginning and in the middle, but that finish was just horrible. You know, Braun Strowman completely was dominating, and, you know, one F5 is all it took for Brock Lesnar to retain the Universal Championship. And I just felt as though, you know, honestly, I just felt like, why go and build up somebody like Braun, who's supposed to be indestructible and unstoppable, and then have him get beat by one F5, you know? So I just hated the finish, really, but that's the way it is. Brock Lesnar won. He's not going to be back for the rest of this year. And, you know, he'll be back, I believe, around the Royal Rumble. So, like I said, I felt no mercy. It was a pretty good pay-per-view. A lot more edgier than any pro wrestling WWE pay-per-view that I've seen in a very, very long time. But, you know, I probably give it about a 6 out of 10, maybe a 7 out of 10 is what I give it. It was very edgy, and I liked that, but there were some parts that were missing, like the Enzo match and the Brock Lesnar match. You had some really great matches as well that get a lot of hate. I'd probably have to give it a 7 out of 10, you know, believe it or not. I know a lot of people probably think that I'm crazy or that I'm a mark for rating it that high, but I just felt as though it was a good show. You know, that's my opinion. 7 out of 10 is what I give it. So that's all the pro wrestling news that I have this week. Let me go ahead and take some questions right now. This comes from Mac Marshall. Hey man, nice to see you. I haven't seen you in a long time, man. I haven't talked to you in a while. Hope you've been doing good. Mac Marshall asked, what about Jinder's backtracking after the Miyagi comments? Well, yeah, that's exactly what I was saying earlier about Jinder Mahal. You know, honestly, I don't feel as though it's 100% Jinder Mahal's fault. Creative made him go out there and say that stuff. So if anyone's to blame for this, it's the creative department in the back for making him go out there and say that stuff. Unless, to my knowledge, Jinder Mahal just came up with that off the top of his head. Creative is to blame for that. And that's the one who should be taking the heat is creative. But, you know, the plan right now is to have Jinder as champion for the rest of this year. You know, who really knows? They could go and say Jinder could be champ for the rest of this year, and then Nakamura could win it and hold it for the rest of this year after Hell in a Cell. But, you know, I think creative's to blame for that. John Cottle asks, what are your thoughts on GTS Wrestling? If you don't know what it is, definitely go watch it. GTS Wrestling. I've never heard of GTS Wrestling before, but we can go and look that up right now. GTS Wrestling. I've never heard of that, but I really hope it's not cyber fights. I've already seen that before, and I did not care too much for that. Let's see here. GTS Wrestling. Oh, Grimm's Toy Show. Yeah, I've watched some Grimm's Toy Show before, and I really did enjoy Grimm's Toy Show. Certain episodes I liked of it. I didn't get to watch his wrestling stuff that he done. I just watched like a couple of videos. But I'll definitely have to go and watch it sometime. I've never watched his wrestling promotion that he's got, but I have watched a couple of his videos and I liked what he done. Main man Matt Logan, you know who needs to come back? The Iron Sheik, huh? Yeah. Iron Sheik is amazing. Iron Sheik is one of my favorites because he just doesn't care what to say, you know, and he's just so funny. He really is. You know what? Honestly, Finn Balor, Luke Gallows, and Carl Anderson for the Shield reunion match. I really hope, Matt, that they do a Shield versus club match. I think that would be really awesome. But it's only going to happen if and only if Finn Balor is not involved in this feud with Bray Wyatt anymore. And so far, it's looking like Finn Balor is still a part of this feud with Bray Wyatt. You know, so as far as I know, they're still doing the whole feud with Bray Wyatt. And if they're not doing that anymore, and it's officially dead, if they kill it at Raw, if they end the feud at a Monday Night Raw show before TLC, and they get everything ready, I think honestly that yeah, we'll see the club versus the Shield, and I would love that. I think that would be so awesome if they done that. Matt also said it doesn't matter what's going on, we just need Iron Sheik back in there. Yeah, the Iron Sheik, man, is definitely a legend. I love this stuff on Howard Stern that he done. He's just some of the stuff that he says. I like that one time when they had him, whenever they was doing the guest hosting on Monday Night Raw a couple years ago. I loved when they had him guest host. and he went on about Hulk Hogan, and he had the Iron Sheik figure with the Hulk Hogan figure, and the Iron Sheik figure was like stomping on Hogan, and the title belt was on the Iron Sheik figure. I mean, he's great. He's a treasure, no doubt. Want to thank everybody for sending me some pro wrestling questions tonight. Also want to give shout outs to these people for tuning in tonight. Dustin Craig Brewer, Ashley Costello, Helen Brunty, Mac Marshall, Andrea Melton, Melissa Stacy, John Cottle, Kayla Melton Creech, Nick Gibson, Stephen Crossman, William Feltner, Esther Wallace, Alex Spencer, Murray Adams, Michael Dwayne, Matt Logan, Ellie Couch, and Brandy Michelle Caldwell. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to tonight's edition of Slammin Saturday Night. This is going to go on YouTube, and you know, I really strongly encourage you to go check out my YouTube channel, youtube.com/StewieFamily. You can go and subscribe to me on there. You'll be glad that you did. But live stream's over. I'll see you guys next week. I hope you all have a great Saturday night. Once again, this is Jamin John, Stewie Family, saying thanks, goodbye, and I'll see you again.